Hi everybody, my name is Tiffany. I'm the Tipsy Artist and we are going to you live today, noon Saturday, and we are doing the beautiful rain boots. Let me show you the model here. Alright, so this is a really big oversized model with the awesome buffalo check and roses, and then we are going to be doing this on an 11 by 14 today. So I've got a little bit of a head start, but I promise I will talk to you about all of the buffalo check. So let's talk about supplies first real quick. I want to make sure we're all set up. So we have our awesome little family of brushes. We've got Mama today, and then Little Betty, and then Little Bit, and then we also have a little rag or paper towels nearby, and then also we have a bucket of water to give them a bath, and then we've got all your paint set up too, and I've got mine on some paper plates. Top plate here, and then also bottom plates all loaded up, and I've got lots of extras here ready to go. And then let's talk about the setup here for the buffalo check. So we've got a couple different ways we can do this online. You can either order, thank you so much. You can either order templates from me online with the kit or just by themselves. Also, we do have a digital version as well online, so that's also available. You can just print those yourself. Now, let's talk about setup. I've got a little ruler here nearby as well, and then let's talk about the setup. So I did, and I'm going to post all of this in stages on Facebook, and also I'll put it on the website as well. This is a really handy guide. This is all mapped out, gridded out. So I start with the ruler, and I just start by doing a vertical line first, and then just follow one, section over. Then I do my horizontal lines all the way down. Then when I start to graph it out, then I just start with, I just pick any horizontal line, and I do the B, G, B, G, B, G, just all the way across. Then I do one vertical line. And I'll give it to you in 3 stages so you can see how easy it is. But I start with one horizontal line, and then I do a little cross reference down with one vertical line. Then that starts my foundation. Then I just concentrate on putting a G surrounding all of my B's. And then once you do that, then all the little white spaces will just fall out at the very end. And I let the white of my canvas be my white. I actually don't paint that white. That makes that a lot easier for me. And then I left a little bit of a section there so that you could see me painting that in. But I knew that you did not want to sit and watch me paint buffalo check for an hour because it's kind of time consuming. So we'll talk about techniques to give you a nice steady hand, but also if that is just super tricky for you, I meant to pull it over here before I got started, but there is painter's tape as well, or washi tape works pretty well. It's not that great. It's not as great. It's okay, but it's not as great as painter's tape. So painter's tape, by the way, that's my little sweet doggy over there making little snorting noises. Isn't she cute? Now she's shaking her ears. Okay, so painter's tape is also a great tool. If you do want to press that down and help secure your lines, that makes it a lot easier too. But I'm going to talk about how to actually paint this in. So my starting colors here that I have are white and black. And then for this move, I'm going to start with my little buddy brush. All right, so I've got a little buddy here and just a teeny amount of water, but then I want to make sure I just add the water to soften the bristles, but then I go ahead and wipe it dry. So it's just moist. All right, then I'm going to go ahead and push into the paint. And if you are doing a black section, then you really want to make sure that your brush is dry because you don't want any of those water runs to affect your canvas. So if you do have excess water in your brush and you're going with black paint, that will create what looks like a mascara run, which could really create a nice little challenge with your buffalo check. We don't want that. So just make sure your brush is nice and dry. And then when we push into the black here, I'm going to go ahead and press firmly here, back and forth, just like that. You want to make sure that you've got a really nice line edge. I'll show you the camera right there, but it's a really nice firm line edge, nice and thin. And then I'll hold it just like a pencil as I come towards the canvas, and I'll do a little line edge just like this. Now I've got a couple little tricks I do to keep my hand really steady. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that. I actually will rest the weight of my hand on my pinky on the canvas. My little pinky kind of acts as a little training wheel, or like a kickstand on a bike. So that helps keep my hand steady as I do the nice little tiny lines here. Just like that. All right, and then when I go to fill in, so that's how I'll do the lines, but then when I go to fill in, then I'm going to turn that handle over to the side and then let the flat side of the brush face the canvas. So I'm going to go ahead and then turn this over to the side just like that, and then that will help me fill into that surface area, just like that. All right, and then I'm going to show you this gray here. So mixing up the gray, I'm going to go ahead and pull up a little bit of that black, just a teeny amount. It's actually a lot more white, so a much bigger amount of white, big dollop of white, and then just a tiny little touch of the black. And I'm going to mix this over here to the side, and this will give me a really pretty light gray color. All right, so you can see that there. And then as we apply this, again, you can go ahead and do your line edge. I'm going to use my pinky to help stabilize my hand. And then I go ahead and just fill in flat side of the brush and just pull that out to the side. All right, so just that one little section there, help fill that in. All right, and then oh, there's a little bit of a gray section there too. Let's go ahead and get that guy right there. All right. And then like magic, all my buffalo check is done. All right, but it would have taken me a while, but for the sake of time here, you get the general idea of how to go ahead and work all of that in. And then let's talk about this bottom area here too. You have the option of just continuing that buffalo check all the way down to the base of the boot if you want. I did go ahead and just give myself a solid gray base here in the bottom section. So I'm going to go ahead and use that same gray that I mixed up, and I just go ahead and I fill this into this whole area. I'm still going to use that little buddy brush that we've got, and I'm going to go ahead and place that into this section here and just fill that in. And you've got these little bottom sections on the bottom of the boot that are really kind of tiny. That just takes patience, really steady hand. It's also a mix of, sometimes even this brush is too big, so then I switch over to my little bit brush as a liner. And so if you can't get in some of these sections, you want to use the bigger brush to go ahead and work into those areas. Like I'll go ahead and go across the top here with that horizontal stroke. And then when I want to go ahead and work in, this actually works in pretty nicely, but if you do want to get a little tiny corner in there, then you can take your little bit brush, and let's talk about that a little bit. So I'll take my little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and do a quick little twist here into the paint. So I'll twist it between my fingertips, and then that will load up the brush with paint, but it also twists it into a nice fine point. All right, so then I can go ahead and get into these really tiny little areas here with a lot more precision and control into those smaller areas. Oh. You there? Okay, sorry, we had a little disconnect there, and it asked me if I wanted to finish, and I'm not done yet. Okay, I think y'all are still with me. Hopefully you are. I hope. Maybe somebody can comment and go, you're still here.
I'm still here.
Well, you're still here. But my thing, it stopped, and then it said, do I want to finish? And I'm not done. I'm not done talking yet. Okay, Facebook. Don't rush me, Facebook. I'm not done yet here. All right. Okay. All right, so I'm going to do a nice thin black line that goes all the way across here. So I'm going to take my little buddy brush again, and make sure the edge is nice and flat and clean and dry. And I'm going to go ahead and press back into the black paint. Yay! Thank you so much. I was hoping somebody was out there. All right. Go ahead and press back in here, and then I'm going to use this to do the line edge. It'll go all the way across through there. So that'll create a nice firm line, helps you know where it separates between that buffalo check and then also the heel or the whole, flat sole of the boot there. All right, so next up we're going to go ahead and create the background, and that will just be a very simple black. Also, I want to let you know, if you do prefer a different color scheme with this, if you're not a buffalo check fan, let me show you. Oh, sorry to get a frame real quick, but all right, on YouTube, I have a tutorial for this guy too, which is a turquoise boot, very easy to do. So if you like the look of that, I have that one already pre-recorded on YouTube, so that is also an option for you. All right, but we're going to go ahead and do the black background here. So I'm going to go ahead and use a bigger brush to go ahead and work into all these areas out here. And so either one of these brushes works as a bigger brush. And I'm going to go ahead and just push back and forth here into the black paint, just back and forth. And then I'm going to go ahead and start to paint into this background. Now we're going to get into some tricky areas around the buffalo check just a little bit. Yeah. Yes, howdy, howdy. So we're going to go ahead and get in some tricky areas around this area here because, see, it's black and then we've got the black in the background. So basically, I just take it as we start to work that in. Well, now this side's going to be easy because it's all gray as we get in towards the edge work there. So I'm going to go ahead and take the brush, I'm going to hold it like a pencil, and I'm just going to take it all the way around. Just like that. And then when we get to this area here too, I'm still going to do the same thing, but when we get towards the very end, some people fear that they lose that section, but that's okay because we're going to come back in at the very end and have a little white line that will come in and around that. So that will help bring out that definition around that. So don't worry about that section. I know it looks like it's going to be tricky, but it all gets fixed in the end. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a nice black outline that comes all the way around, right up next to it. So again, holding the brush like a pencil where that line edge just faces the canvas just like that. That's going to be the key there. So line edge all the way around here. Now this little corner here gets to be a little bit small for this big brush. So I definitely have to switch over to a smaller brush here. So I'm going to be working back and forth between, well, that's my liner. Well, actually that'll come in handy down here. And then also my little buddy, and then sometimes basically all these sizes are what I'll use to kind of work into this area here too. So I'm going to switch over to, let's use little buddy here. Yes, happy Saturday! And thank God it's not really raining. I have my nature sounds on in the background though, and I added a little bit of rain for the rain boot, but it is actually a glorious and beautiful day outside, which I'm very thankful for. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take this brush and I'm going to pull it all the way around, holding it a little bit more like a pencil shape, and then take this all the way around here. And then we're going to start to get into, they almost look like little teeth there on the bottom. So then I just hold it like a pencil and I work into those little negative space areas that come in and around what looks like the little teeth of the boot there on the bottom of the sole. So I'll just keep working into that. So I'm just working on that background space now, pulling that all the way around. All the way around. And then this little section in here too. So a nice flat line here, and then I'm going to go ahead and work into this little bitty section in here. All right, just like that. All right, so now that I've got those fine details done, then I can switch back over to a bigger brush. I'm gonna do the same thing up here, and I'm gonna go ahead and work in little areas here too. And this is pretty easy to do with black, to go ahead and work all this in, and I don't even have to worry too much about dry time, because fortunately, black never really changes colors on you. So it's always going to be the same color, so even if it sets up and dries, I can come back in later and work into this. If this were a different color though in the background that I had actually mixed up a little bit, then I would have to be very careful to work very quickly so that my color would always be that same color mix and that it would dry evenly and all look like it was the same color. But thankfully black will always look the same since it's just right out of the tube as just this one color. So I'm going to go ahead and work all this in. To me, it's just a little bit easier to get all of this nice foundational work in out of the way. And again, just focus on holding that brush just like a pencil, coming right towards the canvas. And I'm almost done with that last step there. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and work into the rest of the background here. All right, so I'm going to use a little bit of a bigger brush here. I've got my mama brush here. And I'm going to go ahead and press into the black paint back and forth. That will help load up the brush. And then I'm going to go ahead and work into this black area here too. First, I want to make sure and get all of my roses, all of this black area painted in first, because I want all of this to set up and dry as quickly as possible. So I don't want any, I'm seeing little kind of blobs of paint, so I want to make sure and pick that up. And that's basically just because I'm going to have to come back in here and work in a hurry. If you're at home and you can take your time, then my suggestion there would be just to make sure that it completely sets up and dries before you work back into it with your roses. I don't necessarily have time for it to set up and dry while I'm painting live, so I have to make sure that this has not got a lot of big clumps of paint, so I'm going to make sure and get those out of there and then work on this first. Then I'll come back down here and work on this bottom section, and then that way by the time I come back up to the roses, then it will be set up and dry and I won't have problems with the black mixing with the colors of the roses. And then, so basically a good tip for you at home is that when you're working this in, just make sure that you don't have any dark colors that are still wet when you go ahead and try to put in lighter colors, because they will mix together, and then a lot of times it muddies the color quite a bit. For example, instead of it being pink, it would be mauve. So we don't want that to happen. So I'm cheating with my fingers today. So I want those little, this is like your mom when she goes, do as I say, not as I do. So, like, really, you should just let this set up and dry, but I'm kind of in a hurry right now, so I'm going to go ahead and take my finger and get those little, there's just some big old wet spots. Ah, better. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and continue filling all this in here. Just black paint. And then if you start to see little peekaboo parts of white that are shining through your paint, then the best thing to do is just come back over it with a second coat. Also, how you hold the brush is really crucial with that. So of course this first coat, you can be kind of sloppy with it and just hold it just like that back and forth. But you can also, if you do start to see little peekaboo white parts coming through, make sure that you get enough paint on the flat side of the brush like that, and then turn it to the side, and then hold it flat parallel to the canvas. And then that will help you get really good coverage in over the top. Oh, and I got the comment about wish we could have seen you do the plaid. I was going to tell you, I am loading up step by step graphs of all that I did. I'm going to put it in the comments. This part be very, very, very helpful. So I'm going to load that up in the comments. That way you can follow that along too. So, yes, me too. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and finish filling this in. And then continue on here, flat side of the brush. Just go ahead and work that in. And then, see, now that I've got all my detail work here done, I'm going to go ahead and switch to a bigger brush just so that I can work a little bit more quickly here and get all of this black into the background. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do some big strokes here, working all this in. And this is what, if you've been to my shows before, I usually call this brush Big Daddy. So I'll go ahead and use this to go ahead and fill all the way in. And here we go. Work this in pretty quickly. Some more black. Ta-da! Okay, yay! All right, so now we have all of our background done. And we have our buffalo check done. And then the next we want to work on is our flowers. So we're going to be doing the base of our flowers. So I'm going to get my next round of colors. So let's go ahead and talk about that. All right, so I've got some red and some white and some purple loaded up here. And if you do want to mix your purple, we can do that too. So let me go ahead and show you how to mix up some purple just in case. This is another fun option because it definitely makes two different types of, I mean, oh no, your Big Daddy's broken. Dang it, that's sad. Yeah. Yeah, glue always works pretty well too. Yeah. Okay, so here we go, mixing up some purple. So it would just be equal amounts of blue and then red. So blue and red, mix those two together, and that will give you a really pretty purple color. So it is a little bit different than this. This is a warmer purple, and then when you mix it, it's usually a little bit of a cooler purple. So that is definitely an option as well. All right, so we've got lots of pretty colors here to work with. Again, red, purple, white. And I'm going to start by mixing up a little bit of some pink. So I'm going to take a dollop of the red and a dollop of the white, and I'm going to mix those two together. And this will give me a really pretty pink. All right, so red and white makes beautiful pink. All right. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to work into these little rose shapes here. And in the beginning, I'm just going to put down flat, solid color. So I just fill in the whole space. And I don't, okay, I do have paint on my website. So it's Royal and Langnickel. And then that's just, yeah, so it's just Royal and Langnickel. It's just acrylic paint. Yeah. All right, so we've got red and white makes pink. We're going to go ahead and fill in solid colors here into all these little areas. I'm going to do a few of these purple too. That's really a fun thing. Oh, let me talk about this as well. So whenever you are not using your brushes, I put them all into the water. The reason why I do that is because acrylic paint can set up and dry on you pretty quickly, and like within about 5 minutes, and you don't want that to happen because you want to keep your brushes in good shape. So I go ahead and place those into the water and let them rest there so that they stay clean, and then you can do a little, whenever you go to wash them out, I do a little spin, apply some firm pressure, and then that helps release that paint, and I just keep pulling it up to check it until it's clean, and then I just go ahead and dry it off with my paper towel. All right. So there we go, nice clean brush there. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of some purple next. And I want, purple's very translucent on its own, so I'm going to add just a teeny amount of white to the purple. That'll lighten it up a little bit. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and push that into this shape here. So a little bit of that light purple. Adding that white really helps it cover better on the canvas. And I'm going to do a few more up here. And I just kind of push the paint down in little circular patterns. Let's do a little purple one here too. And then when I come back in over the top, I want to make sure it's got good coverage. So I do take the brush and I hold it over to the side and go ahead and apply that on the flat side of that surface area. That'll give me really good coverage over that surface. Now I'm going to go back in with a little bit more of my light pink next. So let's see. So that'll be my red and my white here. Red and white. And you can make it really light if you want to, or a little bit darker. So big circles here around the edges, and then just take it over to the flat side of the brush and just fill all that in. And maybe this one I want it to be really, really light pink. So I'm going to add a lot more white to it. And then I'm going to go ahead and push that in. And then just fill that in. We're also going to talk about how to do a little teeny hydrangea in there too. I think those are so pretty. All right. So little lumpy circles is kind of what we have going on right now. So that's okay. That's exactly how it's supposed to look. And then let me talk about how to do a little tiny tap, tap, tap hydrangea look too. Because you can do this with pink and white or the purple and white. It's really cool. Some people are not just huge fans of the rose technique or how to do the roses. And then this other way to do a flower is usually always a favorite because it's so easy. So I take like a little buddy brush and I go ahead and I'm going to push into a little bit of the purple and the white and just kind of tap into both, kind of back and forth, just like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit on the side of the brush facing the canvas. And I'm going to go ahead and do this all the way around in like a little, there's a couple different ways. You could do a circle if you want, the little circle flower. Or you can do something that looks like little trailing flowers that kind of sprinkle down, like right in through here. I'll just kind of alternate between the purple and the white, and I'll just kind of tap, tap, tap until maybe a little tiny point. That's one way to do it, or you can kind of keep it in a circular shape, just like that. And I keep alternating between the purple and the white. And then what else is really pretty is I have to find, a little bit of blue in here too. Gives it just a little touch of like a periwinkle. And that's really pretty. So I just tapped a little bit of blue in there too. All right, so that's really lovely. And you can do the same thing with just red and white too. Makes for a really lovely look. All right, so we've got those different ways to do some of our flowers. Now I'm going to come back in with the pattern over the top. You missed how to do the blank canvas. Well, okay, I will tell you, I'm going to leave the video up. You can see it from the very beginning, watch it over and over and over again if you want. And then we've got this in two places. So I've got it on YouTube, here on Facebook, but you're always welcome to come back and look at the whole thing over and over again too. All right, so let's see here. Let's do our pattern work over the top of the roses. So now I'm going to come in with a smaller brush, the liner brush here, and I want some white paint. That's going to be my first step for the pattern work that comes in over the roses. So just pure white paint, and that goes for any color. And I'm going to come in with my liner. I'm going to go ahead and just tap into the white there. And then the basic shape here over the top of the rose looks like you make little half circles or tell your brain it's like making a parentheses, and that will come all the way around that shape. So I'm going to do that little sweeping, again, kind of like a little half circle, and I'm going to keep pulling this all the way around the shape of the rose towards the center, and just keep repeating that same step, working it in a circular pattern all the way around to the middle of the rose. And I'm going to do this on every single one. So just light hands, and then just little white, like half circles that come all the way around. Shows up a little bit better on that lavender there. So again, just little sweeping half circles. Keep working that around in a circular pattern. And again here. Okay. And then you'll really see it here. So little half circles. And little half circles. And again. All right. Ta-da. So that is our first layer. Okay, then what we want to do is I want to use the same brush, but this time I'm going to come in with the darkest color. And this is going to add the shadows that happen in the petals. So same liner brush here at the end. I'm going to go ahead and come in. If it's a pink rose, I'm going to come in with red as my darkest color. So I'm going to go ahead and tap into that red paint. First thing I will do is a little spot right in the center of the rose. So a little spot right there. That's that shadow right in the center of the rose. Then I'm going to go ahead and just do a few of these little, same repeat of the old pattern we just did. Little half circles. And you will get a little bit of a soft blend into that white that's already there. And I'll just take that all the way around. So again, that little spot right in the center, and then a few of these little half circles that come around the edge there. Circular pattern. And there's a little bit of a, just back and forth with this. If you want to, if you feel like maybe you overdid it on one color or the next, you can always come back in with a little bit more white if you want to. I'm going to give you a quick example here. So I'll touch back in with maybe a little bit more white if I want that back in there. You can always come back in and add more white too. And just kind of softly blend it back and forth. And then I got one more here, a little spot right in the center. And then just little half circles all the way around. All right, now with the purple, now I'm going to come in with the darkest purple. We're going to make, it's the same thing we just did, but this time, make sure this brush is dry. Do not want any water runs. All right, so the darkest purple now, and I want a little spot right in the center. That's that little shadow, and then we're going to do just a few of those little half circles of the darkest purple. So a little spot, and then just a few. And you don't have to, I normally don't do as many half circles of the dark. I'm a little bit of a lighter use, lighter hand with that. So one little spot right in the center, and then just a few of those little shadows. So I'm definitely a little bit heavier handed with the white coming in around that area. All right. Oh, I missed a rose. Uh-oh. All right, let me go back and get that one. All right, so I'm talking about this guy right up here. So come back with that red. And then just again, a few little half circles here. Ta-da! Beautiful. Okay, so now we are going to do all of our little leaves here. And there's a couple of different options that I do with coloring that I think are quite lovely. So you can do, so I've got a spring green, a sage, and then also I've got a really pretty turquoise, and those are also really fun to use. So let's start with spring green first. That's the first layer. So I'm going to do a dollop of the white, dollop of the green, mix these two together, and that will give me a really pretty spring green. All right, that's very pretty. All right, now if I add a little bit of the blue to it, then that will give me some turquoise, which is also awesome. And then let me show you some sage too. So sage would be white, green, and let's mix those two together first. Now sage would be a teeny amount of black. So I just barely touch into the black. And then that pulls it to like a cool sage color. All right, so that's our sage. All right, so all of those are really awesome, kind of just depends on what your tastes are. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do some turquoise here. All right, so the shape of the leaf, very simple on this. I take my brush and I hold it, just like a pencil. I come towards the canvas like this, and I make what looks like a parentheses, and then another parentheses, and then those connect, and then that makes a really pretty little leaf. So I'm going to do that, then I'm just going to fill in with the flat side of the brush in the center. So I'll do that a lot. And then some of these I want teeny tiny little leaves, so I'm actually going to come in with an even smaller liner and then work all this in. Now I'll do some different greens here just to kind of show you. Sometimes I'll just go back and forth between the green and the white, that spring green, and then that turquoise. And that's a really pretty look too. But just lots of repetition there. Little dot, little tapping into those tiny little areas inside the middle of the bouquet. All right, and then if I want to make even little tinier leaves, let's do some of those. With a tinier liner brush, you can get really tiny brushes too. Hey, thanks. All right, so I take that little liner brush, and if you want a super teeny tiny leaf or a little detail, so you can become very delicate with it with a much smaller brush. Let me show you one on a lighter color, but you can make super tiny little leaves here too. You can also do tiny little stems that come down, and like I'll do a few here, and then just like that, and then I can add tiny little leaves off of that. And the basic shape again is just like making that little tiny parentheses, just like that. All right, they'll come off of each side. And again. All right, I love that. Oh, and I can do that with the purple too. This is really cool. I like the way this looks. So I'm gonna take a very tiny liner brush again, but I'm gonna come in with that lighter, like a light lavender so that it shows up really well. And I'll just do a few of these that come out of that arrangement. So I start from the center of the arrangement, or where the arrangement begins, and then I'll pull away from that, and then I'll do like tiny, it's a basic little leaf shape that I'm continuing on here on either side. But I put it at a diagonal and just slightly going downward with that stroke there. Again, that's just purple and white, and just that one little, you can come back in with a little bit of purple, add little highlights over the top. So that's also a real fun little thing to do, little accents in there. All right, man, we're doing good. All right, now we're going to do our little white outline that comes in and around here. So I've got white dots to teach you and white lines. So next step will be to do the white dots. I want to make sure I get a nice, good size circle here. So I'm going to come in with, this is my mama brush, and I'm going to go ahead and push this into the white paint. So there's a couple of fun things you can do with this. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you how to make fun little flowers, like a flowery effect. Looks like little baby's breath that comes in and around the bouquet. So I'm just going to dip into the paint, press straight forward, and if you put these in a cluster, then it looks like little baby's breath that kind of comes out of your little bouquet here. And you can just sprinkle these around. If one of them doesn't quite get it, you can just, it's pretty easy to redo it. And I'll do a few more here. All right. Am I still in the shot? All of these, I can see, there's so much conversation, like I can't really see what y'all are seeing anymore. Okay, so I think I'm still good here. All right, so basically I'm gonna start coming in and around this boot here. So I'm gonna make little dots that are kind of evenly spaced. I just eyeball it. I know some people are already going, oh, I have to measure that. No, you don't have to measure this. Well, some people with their minds have to measure that, which, oh gosh, good luck. But I don't. I just barely. Howdy! Hey, I noticed. So I got Tony, David, Rolinda. How y'all doing? Hope y'all are doing great. All right. So I'm going to keep making my little dots all the way around here. This is really going to help too, because you lost a little bit of definition wherever it went black to black on this boot pattern here when it blends into the background. So this is really about to make that pop in a super nice way. So I basically just take this little dot pattern all the way around, and then all the way around here. Anybody gonna do a, hey, that's all right. No worries. You can watch it later. Anybody have plans for a fabulous cookout today? And I always want to know what people are eating. Like, what are y'all eating? You know, we're on keto, so we always eat really well. I'm not complaining. I think it's fabulous, but I always think it's really fun to hear what kind of carbs other people are eating. I still have dreams about carbs, and I want to live vicariously through others, so yay, burgers. All right, so now we're going to start to do the line work here. Now there's a couple different ways you can do this. I have to find the brush I'm looking, what is that? Let's see. Can't find the brush I'm looking for. This little feller. Oh, there he is. All right, so I've got my little buddy here. So there's a couple different ways you can do this. You can do this with a very thin liner brush or a little buddy. Here is the benefit to using little buddy, because he has the thin line edge. It's a little bit easier for those of us, you know, who have, if you have a shaky hand. So if you press back and forth here into the white paint, and you do want to make sure it's nice and thin on the end. What you want to watch out for, you want to make sure those bristles. Yes, cheesecake. That is awesome. So you want to make sure those bristles don't do that on you, because if they spread out real thick, or even just a little bit, have little stray hairs, then it'll come out with your line. You don't want that, it'll drive you nuts. All right, so I make sure that it's nice and thin here on the end, and that I don't have any stray hairs, and so it's good to go. Then I can go ahead and make little lines in between the dots. I'm also doing that little trick where I rest the weight of my hand on my pinky, and then that will help stabilize my hand. all the way, and then I let go and I just start doing it. But sometimes it doesn't work in different areas, but I try to use that trick as much as I can. So, but this is such a great tool, and I'll take this all the way around that little line. And see, now you can see how this pattern is really helping the design of the boot pop out to the front again. So it's a really neat little trick here. So I'll just keep pushing this all the way. Line, line, line. Ta-da! All right, sweet. All right, now I can do a few other little sprays, also coming from the bouquet if I want. You know, just a little shoo, shoo. You can make sound effects when you do it too, you know. It's like your kids. You know how kids just run around and everything has a sound. Some adults don't ever give that up. We still do that. All right, so, you know, a few little, yay. All right, so a few little sprays there. All right, very nice. Okay, so this is looking fabulous. All right, so our next step will be to do a word. You don't have to. You can let it be just the way it is without saying anything. But if you do want to do a little bit of writing here, I always recommend that people let it set up and dry. And I'm looking around for, I don't have a pencil right now. That's okay. I don't normally ever use a pencil, but I do encourage you to do that. It really helps. So you can write out your word. That way you know it fits into the space, because what you don't want to happen is you don't want it to run into the boot. Because sometimes the painted word can get pretty big and you can start to run into things you weren't planning on running into. So I'm going to go ahead and put my love right in through here. I'm going to use a liner brush, and I want to find my favorite one. My favorite, where is it? Where's my tiny favorite? There he is. Okay. All right, so I've got my liner brush all ready to go, and I'm going to go ahead and just twirl it into the white paint. So I'm going to do a quick little twist here. You can see it kind of twist between my fingertips. And then it's all ready to go. And then I'm going to go ahead and then just write the word love. And I'm going to do a quick, I'm going to go back over some of this here. It's normal to have to do a little second coat sometimes. Like this got a little bit of that dry brush effect happening because it just ran out of paint. So that's okay. So you can actually go back over that with a second coat. And then sometimes that dry brush effect is still really nice with the lettering. In fact, I've seen a lot of fonts that actually just allow it to become part of the style, and it's a really charming look, so you can't just leave it too. Yay! So that's my lettering. And then the most final step is to do my signature at the bottom here. So I just use my same liner brush. My mommy's on here! Hello, Mommy! And then I sign my masterpiece, Tipsy, right here at the very bottom. Ta-da! And I'm just gonna stop with Tipsy. I'll finish Artist here in a minute, because I don't want y'all to have to sit here and just watch me write for a long time. But that is our beautiful rain boots. Isn't that wonderful? And I think we are done. Yes, isn't that amazing? So just as a recap, just to make sure that y'all know where to find everything, I will put all of the, let me find what I've got here. Let me show you what I showed everybody at the beginning. So I've got digital templates on our website that you can use for this. And then we've got templates that we mail to you. And there's a lot more than just that, but I'm just giving you the quick version. And then I'm going to post in the comments step by step for the graph work that I did for Buffalo Check. And I actually took several pictures throughout the process. And, oh yeah, thank you. The dots match my necklace. Yeah, true. So we've got all these that I'll post in the comments and on the website so that you can always find them. So I have all that posted for you. And then, of course, if you haven't painted this yet and you want to paint it, we've got the whole painting party pack online. So we give you the canvas, paints, brushes, templates, the whole thing. It's all there for you. So, yay! So awesome. All right. So, awesome. I hope you'll have a beautiful day. It is super sunny and bright. You need to go out there and cook out on the grill and be in your garden since it's such a beautiful, lovely day. And then, of course, just, keep on painting, keep being creative. And I will actually see you, I can see you, yes, thank you so much. I will see you Tuesday. I'm increasing my schedule. I think I'm going to do Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. So I'm definitely coming on again I think I've got flowers coming Tuesday. So looking forward to seeing y'all Tuesday or Thursday or Saturday or all those days. So yeah, lots of painting. But yes, thank you so much for joining me. Y'all have a fabulous day and I look forward to seeing y'all soon. Mwah.